tell us a little bit about how you got started in your career.
Well, actually, it's kind of a long story, and it started on a personal level, I would say, when I was a young adult. And I was interested in sex. I was trying to figure out who I was myself and what I liked and what I enjoyed and all about it. And I did watch porn. I think many people do growing up. And we all know that sex education is in most countries in the world not giving us all the information that we are looking for. So what happens, to be honest, is that we turn to other sources, and many times those sources have to do with pornography. And that that can be bad and it can be good. It depends. We can talk more about porn and the impact it has on society today, because I think it can be both things. In my case, I was a young adult. I'm turning 45 actually next month in February.
Exciting.
So I was born in 1977. I'm just telling you that because I think that time here is important to the story, because when I grow up, the world was looking a little different from today, actually. So my experience started with video cassettes of porn.
Okay.
I would call him, a typical boyfriend who kind of introduced me to the genre. Well, my first experience was actually with girlfriends. I was even younger, and we were, we were in our pajamas watching a regular movie. And then after the regular movie, one of my girlfriends, she took out this video cassette that she had found in her father's secret drawer. And she went, "I'm gonna show you something, you're gonna see." And I remember back then I must have been only 12 years old, and it felt strange to me. It felt kind of confusing and a little ridiculous at the same time, because it was, that kind of porn parody that just seemed stupid in a way. It wasn't really kind of, erotic and sexy and kind of bringing.
And that's how a lot of people feel when they first see porn, right? Like especially when they're exposed to it like that. That's kind of like the first initial impression.
Yeah. So it felt a little dirty, a little nasty, and a little ridiculous at the same time. But then I had this boyfriend who kind of introduced me to porn when I was already a young adult. And at that time, I was open to the whole idea of pornography because I wanted to explore and I wanted to see what other people did and what it was like, etc. But what happened to me, I think, is something that happens to especially many women when we watch porn, that we have this feeling that our body likes it, our body connects to it, our body starts, getting feelings and horniness and the body reaction. But at the same time, my brain kind of went, what is happening here? I don't like it. I don't really like the power dynamics I'm seeing. I don't feel comfortable with what is, happening. And then I had many conversations with people around me, because at that time I was, starting university. I was studying political science and gender studies, and everything in my life was about, trying to figure out the world we live in and the power structures and analyzing and deconstructing and all of that. So I kind of did the same with porn, and I ended up understanding somehow that my difficult reactions with it had to do with me not feeling represented in the way I wanted to feel represented. I didn't feel like it was about the women. It felt to me like porn was so focused on the male characters and on their stories and their pleasure and their experience. And the women, we were reduced to some kind of tool for male sexuality. We were there to please them. And I think that was really the mechanism that didn't really click for me. And when I had conversations with my male friends and with my female friends, it became pretty clear that many of my female friends felt the same way. Whereas my male friends had kind of an easy time with porn. They never had really thought about it. It was not, in their consciousness what was going on. And I think that for me, these kind of ideas on a very theoretical level, what was started my own kind of, porn revolution. I started to think more about it, and I was doing research, and I was, finding a book to read about it and educating myself. I got interested in the subject, honestly. And then on that journey, I asked myself the question, why was it like that? And the answer to that was that basically it was made by men for men, without really thinking about the female gaze or about our experience. So for me, it became kind of a little project to see if I could make it differently. Could I? That was what I questioned myself. And then life kind of happened, and I moved down to Barcelona. I was born in Sweden, actually, where I was studying at university in Lund. And while life happened, and I had to find a job for myself, and I started to work in audiovisual production for audiovisual production companies here in Barcelona. I was mostly doing advertisement and some films, etc. But I started to get the skills in filmmaking at the same time I was signing up to a film school, and I had this idea of making a short film. And the idea for me was to see if I could myself make something kind of an erotic. It started out as an erotic film, but then it became an explicit film. And it obviously was a porn film, But at the beginning, I had a hard time even kind of to use that word, because it felt like porn was so difficult somehow, right, that it was, I had a hard time even kind of facing what it meant to be doing porn. But I decided to make this film, and when I developed it, it became clear to me that it was porn, and that it was different, and that I dared to do it.